Remember when I said I would do this video sooner than the last one? I didn't, because I'm a liar. Hello everybody, today's video is going to be... I forgot to introduce myself. Hey everybody, I'm Rhinocio, and today's video is going to be a weird one. Not only because it's 2 doll customs instead of 1, but also because I only have bits and pieces of video for each of them. So, bear with me. I figure some content's better than no content, right? The base dolls for these customs were an operetta and a Spectra from the Monster High doll line. The former because B was interested in doing something with the sculpted detail on her face, and the latter because we wanted hella cheekbones. We tortured them both in the same way: buzz cut, acetone to the face, dunk in boiling water, and then removal of hair plugs with some needle nose pliers. Spectra's head was one of the few that we tried heating up with a heat gun, which actually melted the remaining hair plugs, so we ended up cutting a hole in the back of her noggin to more easily scrape them out. Don't recommend the heat gun. Because of this oopsie, I ended up giving her skull stitches too. Yay, Spectra! More prep torture! We also took some fine grit sandpaper to both bodies to remove the molded on serial numbers and to give the pastels which we use for body blushing more texture to hang on to. This takes the shine off the doll bodies too, which is helpful when you want them to look a little more realistic. B was really interested in trying to change the color of the operetta's body with pastels, like Delightful did with her Umbreon doll, which meant brushing on layers of the stuff between layers of Mr. Superclear. She realized pretty quickly that this was going to be a long process, but persisted, and she managed a fair number of coats before she gave up and turned to gesso. In the future, it might help to neutralize the pink skin tone with green pastels first, and then start building the white. And also, while the white gesso gave us a very opaque coverage, I can't say I care too much for the texture, so I'd use a white acrylic or a gouache paint if I were to do it again. Once Operetta's body was all color changed, B started on her hair. We decided to make her a monochromatic doll to kind of lean into the opera vibe that she already had, so B grabbed black acrylic yarn to go with the white body. She spooled them onto a coat hanger, unwound the strands, brushed them out with a pet brush, and then flat ironed them smooth. The problem arose when she started to use said yarn to reroot the doll head. See, the face had taken the white pastels pretty well, and so we'd left that as its color change medium. But pushing the rerooting tool into the vinyl head had cracked the layers of sealant that was holding all the white pastels on there, so it basically destroyed it. The cool hair was worth the struggle, so it's fine. I mean, come on, check out this Yu-Gi-Oh! Chic, hello! I tried initially to bind her hair out of the way for her face up with pins, but all the glue that we'd put in her head to hold her hair in had made the head really hard, so I used a broccoli elastic instead. I initially tried to see if I could redo the pastels, just maybe in a faster way. So instead of brushing on the pigment with a paintbrush in really thin layers, I figured I'd just crank up the metaphorical oven heat and decrease the cook time by scratching the thick layers on with a pastel block itself. It kinda sorta worked, but let's be real, I'm too impatient even for the life hack version of that. Also, the pastel face and the gesso body were looking a little too distinct from each other, so I slapped some paint on the doll's face instead. Gesso was gonna give me an uneven surface to draw face up on, so I just used a normal acrylic. I cleaned up the body with a fresh layer of acrylic too, and then sprayed the body parts with MSC so that I could move on to the body blushing and the face up. Here's where things start to get a little funky. B and I don't do our dolls one after another in chronological order. We kinda like to do a bunch at once and then pick them up as they interest us. Ergo, while the operetta was still in the works, B went off and made a super cool outfit for a doll we hadn't made yet, which meant that we needed to drop everything for that. B wanted to keep this doll as monochromatic as possible as well. And though I did go a little bit off the game plan by adding purples and a steel blue and some white glitter into Spectra's silver face-up, I'm still pretty pleased with the result. In retrospect, I might have added one more layer to her face-up to make it darker, but as far as the shapes go, it's one of my best face-ups so far. Her hair was likewise made with brushed out yarn, though these were made into wefts instead of plugged into her head. B even made a hair rat to give her pompadour the oomph we wanted. Even though the yarn hair is much easier to manipulate than plastic, short styles remain kinda difficult to control. We're all ears for any suggestions you guys have on how to make that easier. Back to doll number 1. Operetta already has this elaborate sculpted tattoo? Scar tissue? I'm not sure what this is. On her shoulder and face, and we wanted to keep as much of that as possible while also being accurate to the theme. I ignored parts of the sculpt therefore that had spiderweb designs and stuck to just the swirly lines. I started with pastels, but mostly this was done with gouache. By this point, we were playing with the idea of making these two dolls siblings. The unfortunate bit about having one head painted and the other made of white vinyl is that the skin tones of the dolls are actually slightly different from each other. Spectra is more of an off-white after a few layers of MSC. But you know what they say, sisters, not twins! That being said, I decided to try and use the same colors in Operetta's face-up as I did with Spectra's to keep them as similar as possible. This doll was meant to be a little more glitzy, so I went hard on the purples, and she ended up with fuller eyelashes than her sister. As far as clothing went, Operetta was modeled after an opera singer, so she got black pleather gloves, and then a dress made out of an old shirt that Bee disassembled. Naturally, such a fancy dress needed a fancy trim, so our model doll took a trip to the overflowing trim bin and picked out some off-white lace for the collar and the hem, and then some netting to fluff out the bottom of the skirt. The shoes were possibly from an operetta, I'm actually not sure. They were rather yellowed though, so Bee repainted them to clean them up and accentuate their piano key design. Things went a little bit off the rails when Bee decided the doll wasn't fancy enough. She dyed a bunch of paper flowers with pastels and began sticking them all over the dress to jazzy it up. This, of course, threw our monochromatic plan out the window, but we both like switching things up on the fly and there was no love lost over the improv. I actually think it's really super cute. Bee also made her this sweet little parasol out of layers of lace fabric and some small wooden dowels. Styling Operetta's hair involved a lot of chopping, some strategic pins, and a little glue to hold her bangs in place, and then was decorated with a little matching flower. Because Bee was on a roll with her flower dyeing, she got some twine out of the trim box and made this operetta a little basket, which was then also filled with a whole bunch of blooms. If you're wondering what happened with the Spectra, well, Bee made an entire outfit over the Christmas break without any prior planning. It involves a glittery trench coat and a black strappy crop top, alongside some super comfy looking pants, and I want those pants. Oh my god, can I have them? She painted up some existing accessories from other Monster High dolls that we have in the stock box, and gave the doll a couple of ear piercings with pins and a bent wire to complete the look. And that's all I've got for her. These two siblings live in a cyberpunk world, the same one that Letty comes from. She and Aspen, named after the most powerful butch I know, are both partners in crime solving and in life. Aspen might be the more composed of the two, but her sharp wit and cool head make her a dangerous opponent. Adella, by contrast, is very little like her sister. She focuses on the positive and whimsical elements of life, as exemplified in her unorthodox outfits and sunny demeanor. Aspen is the eldest of the two and provided for both of them growing up, but now that Adella's made her way into the lifestyle of a fine musician, she's paying back the favor. The world they were born into is a pretty colorless one, but they both found their own unique ways to brighten it up. Thanks so much for watching this, guys. If you liked it, please let me know with a like or a comment or something to that effect. It's very helpful.
And I like hearing what you guys think. It's really nice.
And if you'd like to stub Stevie, you can do that and like hang out here. And hopefully I won't go another 3 weeks without making another video. I'm generally pretty good about this. It used to be every week and then it was like kind of every 2 weeks. And I'm doing my best. As I mentioned in the last video, if you're interested in following me on social media, I mostly hang out on the garbage dump that is Tumblr, but you can find my art stuff on Instagram as well. And B and I have a doll-specific Instagram that you can find here-ish, somewhere. There are customs on the doll Instagram that I don't have videos for, so if you want to see just more of the dolls in general and not necessarily the progress of them, that is the place to go. Again, thank you so much, guys. And I will see you, hopefully in like maybe 2 weeks' time, ideally 1. I'll do my best. Well, I didn't. Excuse me, Buzz. Excuse me, Buzz. Can you just not? Could you just go away? Hello, everybody. I'm Rhinociart. I gotta stop clapping. Why do I always clap? I have feelings. I just want to clap. Hello, everybody. I'm Rhinociart, and today's video is gonna be a weird one because reasons. Today's video is going to be a little bit of a weird one, not only because it is so noisy. It's like, not just the buses, but now we got the helicopters, then we got like probably a plow. Just so much noise. Oh, the noise. Is it not what it seems? Is it not what it seems?